Okay, so another topic that we covered at Project, which is why you should have attended, but if you didn't, we'll do this again and I'll give you the opportunity to download my presentation. But we talked about 3D design and why it's super important. And so, of course, 3D design is great visually, but that's not what we're talking about. It has way more important uses than that. Now, a couple weeks ago, I went to PI Apparel. You can see my old videos that talks about that. And I had mentioned that I did a roundtable about experiential learning. So the purpose of the roundtable was to try to figure out why tech integration isn't really trickling down into organizations. What we found out is that most of the time it's only one or two people that are proficient in a technology that has been adopted, and one or two people isn't enough to create mass adoption in your organization. So that requires somebody coming in and figuring out, how do we bridge this education gap for adult learners who are intimidated by technology, who already don't want to spend any more time outside of work learning things, and who are not incentivized at the time to even try to learn something new. And so that was a different topic, but what it let me know, and the thing that I heard most, was simply that 3D design technology is not being properly utilized. Now, outside of the fact that people don't know how to use it and they're not willing to use it, students are, because I just taught a course at Newark School of Design and another school in Newark where students picked it up quickly. But of course, they're students, and so their minds are like sponges most of the time. So when you're an adult, you're really closed off to learning new things and you're intimidated. So it doesn't work. So now we have these very expensive programs in these organizations, and people are not using them, which sucks for them. But for you, if you have been thinking about implementing 3D technology, I want you to think about it less for just design and more for communicating 2D to 3D, right? One of the things I'm going to tell you is that I'm working with a company and I'm really excited about them. In fact, when I found them, I was like, I'm going to champion you all because I feel like this is a huge issue in the industry and people need to know who you are. But what they do is forget learning 3D technology yourself, right? Like, let's say that's the barrier. Let's remove that barrier. Now, if you didn't have to learn it, you could have everything in your catalog already in 3D so that you can communicate to buyers, your merchandisers, your vendors, your manufacturers. You can communicate wholesale catalogs. So many things that you can do to kind of communicate better by just implementing this tool. Now, this tool allows you to outsource all of your 3D for less than what probably your phone bill is, which is amazing. I don't know how long it's going to stay like that, but I think for now, if you've been looking for a better way to communicate your designs and not just have these flat 2D sketches, but really a 3D representation, this would be the way to go. Now, when it comes to creating patterns in 3D, I used to be a champion of it, but recently I sat in at a conference on a talk, and this is why you go to conferences, so that you can learn, because even I can be wrong. It happens. And I learned that basically, remember when I said that people that were not from the fashion industry come into the fashion industry and they create technology tools? That's great in theory, but it's not very helpful, because what happens is they brought in animation components from the gaming industry, and the gaming industry builds body types or rigs based on a system that is not anatomically correct. In other words, they're not real bodies. So by the time you do all this designing in 3D and then you try to take it to 2D and then you try to get an actual pattern, you still have to go back and true it up, and then that's inefficient. And you see, efficiency is great, saving time is great, and being more productive is even better. So having a system that's not true and that doesn't give you the proper fit is just kind of like not always the way to go. So you don't have to think about 3D anymore for just the design aspect of creating accurate patterns. Think of it more for showcasing visualization and communication, because some things are better communicated when you have a very realistic 3D visual of it that you can move around and have conversations with. And so I talked about that company and how you can reach out to them at Project as well. So if you're interested, I'm going to make the PDF available to you so that you can download it and figure out, how do we get this implemented if this is something that you need. And of course, share this information with your community. I'll keep you posted on when I get that information up, but hopefully it will be helpful to you, because that is my job. So now you understand a little bit more about 3D, the problems, and how you can utilize it to be better. And we're going to get you set up with tools that gives you an advantage. So Again, I'm Jessica Couch. I'm a fashion technology expert, and my job is to go to conferences and do research so that you don't have to. So you're welcome.